Most people think fake friends are obvious. They think you would notice right away. Someone who talks behind your back, someone who ignores you, someone who clearly doesn't want you to win. Wrong. The most dangerous fake friends are the ones you trusted the most, the ones you still call a friend. And if you're honest, you've already felt something was off. You just didn't act on it. You brushed it aside. Because they smile when they see you. They act supportive. They ask how you're doing. Everything looks normal, but it never feels fully right. And that feeling didn't come from nowhere. You noticed it before. You just ignored it. Because secretly, jealous friends don't push you away. They stay close. Close enough to see your wins. Close enough to hear your plans. Close enough to watch your life change. And while you thought they were happy for you, they were measuring you, comparing you, tracking you, every win, every opportunity, every bit of attention you get. And here's what nobody tells you. This never shows up as one clear moment. It shows up in patterns, small things, repeated behavior, and once you see them, you don't unsee them. And suddenly, a lot of people in your life start making sense. Today, I'm going to break down the 5 silent habits secretly jealous friends always show. And one of them is going to feel uncomfortably familiar. Not because it's new, but because you've been ignoring it. So pay attention. Because this isn't about strangers. This is about people close enough to affect your life. The first sign is one most people completely miss, because on the surface, it looks like support. You achieve something. Maybe you get promoted. Maybe your life starts improving. Maybe people start noticing you. And when you talk to this friend alone, they seem happy for you. They say all the right things. They tell you they're proud of you. They tell you you deserve it, and you believe them. Because nothing feels wrong in that moment. But then something strange happens. The moment other people are around, everything changes. Someone else brings up your success, maybe in a group conversation, maybe at work, maybe in front of mutual friends. And suddenly, that same person goes quiet. No reaction, no excitement, no support, just silence, or worse. They act like it didn't even happen, and most people don't catch it. Because nothing bad happened. No insult, no argument, no obvious shift, just an absence. But that absence matters, because private support is easy. It costs nothing. But public support is different. Public support means raising your status in front of other people. It means adding to your image when it actually matters. And secretly, jealous friends struggle with that moment. Because when other people start praising you, it forces comparison. It shifts attention toward you. It raises your value in the room. And in that moment, something inside them tightens. Not always consciously, but it happens. So, instead of adding to your win, they go quiet, they step back. They disappear into the background. And here's what makes this so dangerous. Most people assume silence means nothing, but silence is information. And once you notice this pattern, you start seeing it everywhere. So, ask yourself this. Who always supports you in private, but becomes strangely invisible when other people start giving you credit? Because the second sign explains something even more unsettling. And it happens during normal conversations you've had 100 times. The second sign is even harder to notice because it doesn't feel like jealousy at all. It feels like interest, like curiosity, like someone who just cares about your life. At first, they ask you questions, a lot of questions. How much did that cost? How did you afford that? Who helped you? How much are you making now? When exactly did that happen? What are you planning next? And in the moment, it feels normal, even flattering. Someone is paying attention to you. Someone is interested in your life. So you keep answering one question after another until something strange happens. You realize the conversation was never really about connection because they told you almost nothing about themselves. They didn't open up. They didn't share much. They didn't balance the conversation. They just collected. And most people never question it because being asked questions feels like connection. But there's a difference. Real connection goes both ways. There's sharing. There's trust. There's exchange. But this feels different. One-sided, controlled. Like they are learning you without revealing themselves. And you don't notice it in the moment. Because nothing feels aggressive. Nothing feels wrong. But later, something changes. A detail you only told one person shows up somewhere else. A private moment gets mentioned again. A story gets repeated by someone who shouldn't know it. And suddenly, you remember all those questions, not as curiosity, but as collection. Because some people don't ask questions to understand you. They ask questions to study you, to map you, to remember you, to compare you. And once they have enough information, they don't need to ask anymore. They already know how to position themselves around your life. So ask yourself this: who always knows everything about you, but somehow you don't really know much about them? Because the next sign explains what they do with all that information. And this is where it starts to get uncomfortable. The third sign is the one that changes everything, because this is where you realize something uncomfortable. Some people remember your past too clearly, not your growth, not your progress, your failures. They remember the job you lost, the relationship that ended, the mistake you made years ago, the time things didn't work out for you. And at first, it doesn't seem strange. Maybe they just have a good memory. Maybe they're joking. Maybe they're just being honest. But then something changes. You start doing better. Your life starts improving. You become more confident. You start moving forward. And suddenly, your past comes back into the conversation. Not your progress. Your past. Remember when that didn't work out? Let's hope this one goes better than the last time. Just don't mess it up like before. And every time it happens, it pulls you backwards for a second, even if you don't show it, even if you laugh it off. Something inside you shifts, because there's a difference between someone who remembers your past and someone who keeps you in it. A real friend remembers where you came from to appreciate how far you've gone. But a secretly jealous friend uses your past as a reference point to remind you, to position you, to limit you, because your growth forces them to update their image of you. And not everyone is comfortable updating the story they already built in their head. So, instead, they reach for the version of you that feels familiar, the version that struggled, the version that failed, the version they can still compare themselves to, and they bring it up casually, like it means nothing, but it always lands somewhere. So, ask yourself this: who always remembers your lowest moments, but somehow forgets your biggest wins? Who brings up your past faster than your progress? Because the next sign is where things stop being subtle and start showing up in real time. The fourth sign is where most people finally start noticing something real, because this one doesn't show up when you're struggling. It shows up when you start winning. At first, everything feels normal. You tell someone your goals, your plans, your ideas, and they support you. They encourage you. They tell you it's going to work out. They say they believe in you. And for a while, it feels good, like they're in your corner. But then something changes. Not when you talk about the dream, when you start making progress, when things actually start working, when your life starts moving forward in real ways. That's when the energy shifts. They get quieter, shorter replies, less excitement, less curiosity, sometimes even distance. And most people miss it because nothing bad happens. No argument, no conflict, just less energy than before. But that difference matters because potential is comfortable. Potential doesn't threaten anyone. You can talk about ideas forever, and people can still feel fine. But progress is different. Progress is visible. Progress is real. Progress creates comparison, and comparison changes how people behave, because now they can see it, not just hear about it, see it, and that changes everything. Suddenly your progress becomes something they have to process, something they have to measure themselves against, something they can't ignore anymore. And for some people, that's uncomfortable. So instead of matching your energy, they reduce theirs. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your growth is starting to highlight their stagnation. And that's not something everyone is ready to face. So ask yourself this: who was supportive when you were talking about your goals, but became noticeably different when those goals started becoming real? Who loved your potential, but got quieter when you started showing results? Because the next sign is the most visible one. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it in a room full of people. The fifth sign is the one most people miss completely, because it happens in real time, right in front of you, in a group, in a conversation. When attention suddenly shifts toward you, maybe someone compliments you, maybe your name gets mentioned, maybe people start talking about your success, and for a second, all eyes move in your direction. Most people focus on what is being said, but the real sign is not in the words, it's in the reaction. Because secretly, jealous people don't always say anything. They react, subtle things, almost unnoticeable. They look away for a second, they check their phone, they shift in their seat, they cross their arms, they go quiet, or they force a smile that comes a little too late. And if they do speak, it's often to interrupt, or redirect the attention away from you, back to themselves, or to something else. And most people never connect these moments, because individually, they mean nothing, but together, they reveal everything. Because attention exposes emotion, and when someone is comfortable with your success, they don't shrink during your moment. They stay present. They stay engaged. They don't compete with the attention. But when someone is not comfortable, their body reacts before their words do. That's the key. Not what they say. What changes in them when you are the focus. Because in that moment, there is no time to perform, no time to fake it perfectly, only reaction, and reaction is honest. So ask yourself this: who changes when the attention shifts to you? Who gets quieter? Who becomes distracted? Who suddenly feels different in group settings when you are being acknowledged? Because once you start seeing this, you stop focusing on words, and you start noticing behavior, and that changes how you see everything. Now all 5 signs are connected, and when you put them together, a pattern starts to form. Not a coincidence. A pattern. Now here's the truth. Most people don't notice these signs one by one. They just feel something is off. A conversation feels different. A friendship feels heavier than it used to. A win doesn't feel fully celebrated, but they can't explain why. Now you can. Because once you understand these patterns, you don't go back to seeing people the same way. You stop listening only to words and you start noticing behavior. And that changes everything. Not because you become suspicious of everyone, but because you finally see clearly who actually supports you and who only supported you when it didn't challenge them. And that awareness protects you. So let me ask you something. While watching this, did someone come to mind? Not someone obvious, someone who used to feel close, but something changed over time. If you feel comfortable, comment the one sign that hit you the most. Sometimes putting it into words helps you see it more clearly. And your comment might help someone else who's going through the same thing, but hasn't realized it yet. And if this video made sense of something you've been feeling for a long time, share it with one person who needs to see it, because not everyone realizes it early. And sometimes, the right video at the right time can change how someone sees their entire circle. Stay aware and protect your peace. Take care of yourself and see you in the next one.